this computer. So, hello everyone from my side. I'm Claudia Winke. I'm the sports director of the Jiu-Jitsu International Federation. Welcome to the fifth webinar. And our topic today is the draw, seeding, and the ranking. We have only 6 participants, so will not go maybe as planned. But for those that now look the recording, you definitely missed the cool webinar. I have also allowed the participants to unmute yourself, so we can, since we are a few people, make it a bit easier. So if you have a question, just raise your hand, and then we don't follow the original plan of completely recording it and discuss questions afterwards, but allow a bit of discussion. Everything that I'm telling here can be found in the Sporting Code 2023. So this document you can find if you go on the JJIF website under downloads. And also everything that is written in the Sporting Code is always valid. So we sometimes get questions on like, yeah, can you make an exception here? No, we can't. Like we can also not say, today we give only 1 point for an EPON. We can also not say, no, we make a different draw mode or we give different points. If you think that something in the Sporting Code is not good, you can ask for any other rule, request a change. And I will also in the next slides show you how you in theory can request changes to the Sporting Code. There is a procedure for that. As said, the meeting is recorded, so those that look at it later, you miss a cool webinar, and everyone else, if you have a question, put it in the chat, or since we are so little people, just raise your hand and we can discuss then. I also try to make it a bit interactive. So if you have a mobile device in your hand, you can go on menti.com and enter this code. It is also always visible at the top of the slide, because we will, I hope to get a few questions and answers on discussions and on the knowledge, because as said, most of the things that I'm telling today are not new. Exactly, you can react. Someone already pressed the thumbs up. That's good. So you can react to the slides. And as said, if things are unclear, also help there. Short reminder about the structure of the JJIF. This has slightly changed because we have only the Congress. So if you, I hope you see my mouse, we start at the very top. We have our national federations, our national organizations, and the Jiu-Jitsu national organization usually has multiple people, but I differentiate it into 3 different categories. We have referees. We have officials, for example, a president, but also general secretary, so someone that has a function within this federation, and we have athletes. And all these 3 groups are somehow represented in JJIF and also in the decision-making process. So the athletes can vote to become a member in the Athletes Commission of their union or vote for these people. And also the Athletes Commission of the Union are represented in the JJIF Athletes Commission. For the Europeans, there is elections for the Athletes Commissions upcoming at the next European Championship. For the other unions, there will also be soon elections. We have referees, and referees are part of our experts in the disciplinary working groups. So we have for every discipline head referee, and when there are discussions on the disciplines, we also, of course, ask the referees. And then we have officials, and the officials are represented in the JJIF Congress, or they have a function within the Continental Union. Can also happen. And continental unions are all structured a bit differently, but all of them have a president. This president, together with the president of JJIF and the 2 members of the Athletes Commission, are the JJIF board. Additionally, in the extended board, there is the sports director, that's me, and the director general, this is Joe, and we are also often called headquarters. So we are actually doing the work, so we cannot decide in the board, but we are doing the work. And we are then part of a technical commission, and these are the commissions where actually decisions are made, where proposals are discussed. So if you say that something that I'm showing here or something that you hear, you don't like it, then you can send an email to the technical commission, tc@jjif.org, and then there can be discussions. But as said, it's not an exception. We cannot make exceptions for, but my athlete should here get an exception. That's not how it works. And in the technical commission, there are also disciplinary working groups. So for every discipline, there's experts in the working groups, because I don't know nothing about Jiu-Jitsu. So if we need to know something about Jiu-Jitsu, then we will ask the experts in the Jiu-Jitsu working group. So as said, if you have a suggestion for a proposal, you say something you don't like or you want to have different, you can send it in to the technical commission by the headquarters. In the technical commission, it is discussed, is this a proposal that we can do and when we could implement it? It will be forwarded to the right working group, will be discussed there. If the working group says, yes, that's a good proposal, it goes via the board. The board can say, we immediately put it into place because it's really what we need. And the Congress in the end can ratify and say, okay, this is a good decision. So as said, if you have an idea or something, no, don't come to me and say, can I have an exception? But please send an email to the headquarters via mail@jjif.org. That about proposals and how it works. Then I have already the first question. So those of you that are active now and have the Mentimeter, so you can go on menti.com and enter this code, should be able to answer this question. And the question is actually, for every event, we have an organizing committee. But who is this organizing committee? And there are 3 answers. It is always noted in the invitation of the event. It's always the same people, Peter, Joe, and me, or it's absolutely not known until the day of the event. So I see some answers are coming in. That looks good. 3, 4 people can vote. We have now, meanwhile, 10 participants, so this is good. So it's a bit, yeah, I see questions are coming in. Perfect. I will now also already show the answer. So the correct answer is indeed, it's always noted in the event. So please don't just write me or Peter if you have a question, but look at the invitation of the event. Who is the organizing committee? And these are the questions that usually can help you with visa, with questions about where's the venue, what hotel, what are the fees. Look in the invitation of the event, and then you will find the people that you can that can give you answers. Very good. So let's see, I have another question. Exactly. If I have a question about a tournament, whom do I write? Well, you can write a WhatsApp to Joe. You can write directly to the organizing committee. You ask your Jiu-Jitsu national organization, or I write a message on Facebook. So, and the mean answer on this question is, of course, depends a bit on who you are. Because I see a few people that are in here that have actually roles within their national organization. But if you are not, by chance, oh, I tried to mute people. Sorry, then it's a bit less loud. Mute. Sorry. Mute. So if you are, for example, the general secretary or the president of your Jiu-Jitsu national organization, then please write the organizing committee. But if you are an athlete or a coach, don't write the organizing committee, because, well, if we look at, for example, how many participants did we have at the Asian Championship? Something like 700. If all of them individually write their questions, then the organizing committee is busy with answering the questions. So if you are an athlete and you have a question, always check with your national organization, your general secretary, your coach. They find a way to the organizing committee. And these are then the people that can help you with your questions. And if they don't know, they will ask the organizing committee, but not everyone individually. Let's see if I can go to the next slide. Oh, okay, I see the leaderboard doesn't work. So we have no results yet. Unfortunately, the quiz does not work as I want. Still, well, so far in the first question, everyone got it right. In the second, everyone got wrong. Also, no, not bad. This is about organizing and everything. But as said, one of the topics today is the drawing. So what is a draw? The draw decides who competes against whom. So when I'm going on a tournament, and for every category, there's a draw made, and the mode depends on the number of athletes in this category. And this draw basically decides against whom do I compete. And there are possibilities for this JJIF draw. It can be made in different methods. It can be made en bloc. That would be everything is done and it's published. The JJIF draw is maybe secret, so that you don't know it. It can be made individually, that you show every draw by chance, one after another. And the draw is random. So there are eventually multiple answers that are right. I hope you can select multiple answers. I have 2 people voting. So for those that don't know how to vote, you can go on this menti.com and use this code, and then you can vote. Perfect. I see a few people voting. And so far there is no wrong question, no wrong answers. That's very good. So I already revealed the answers. Oh, let's enter the show correct answer. Exactly. So we can make, and this is what we usually make, the draw and block. So that means that there is a date at an event where we say, okay, the draw will be made at, I don't know, 4 o'clock. And then afterwards, the draw is published. And where's the next question? However, we had scenarios, and we can in theory do this to make a draw individually. So then we all gather in a big room and we show one category after another. We don't do this anymore since Corona and since our events got so big, but in theory, it would be allowed. It's just not happening. And the draw is random. So besides the seeding, this we will discuss later, normally you don't know on which position of the draw you are. So only when we make the draw, it is determined on which position which athlete will compete. So who is your first opponent? Next question. The JJIF draw, well, a secret. It will be published on the JJIF website. It will be sent via WhatsApp. It will always be published on Sport Data, and it will be printed for me. Also here, multiple answers might be right or wrong. Very good. Yes, so that's indeed correct. Eventually, we send information also like reminders via WhatsApp and saying, hey guys, the draw is online. You can have a look here. We normally don't publish it on the website because then that is a bit too much effort. It's definitely not secret. It's always known, and we'll always publish it on Sport Data, and it more or less automatically also goes. So we make the draw. We just look if there is no, let's say, bug in the database or anything. So this control usually takes like whatever, 10, 15 minutes or so. And then it is immediately published. So if you don't see it on the website, you don't need to write Peter, me, or the organizing committee, when is the draw done? Because it will then take a few more minutes, but it will always be published on the JJIF website. And I now stop this and show you where you can find it. Because I just now open any event. The Asian Championship recently happened. And you will always find the draws on the website under draws. So if you open any event in the event calendar and the draws are done, you will find them here. You can select your category, you can open the category, and then you can have a look at the draws. And then you know exactly who is your first opponent. And you can also, not necessarily with the draw, look at the timetable here, and then on the timetable see when is your first fight. So all this information is always public. Let's see, I will try to make it big again. We have different draw systems. This is also no new information. And a few of them are existing. A few of them that I have named here are not existing. So just those that exist, you can click on in the app. So we have the best of 3. We have empty pools, we have combined pools, we have a round robin, we have a round Batman, and we have trees. Don't know if it's possible to select multiple answers. No, it's not possible. Ah, I see. Oh, that's of course mean. Then I have made the settings wrong. Apologies. Ah, very good. Yes. So you, oh, oops. I'm sorry. I want to show the answers. Ah, that is of course not how I want it. I want to show the correct answers. And if you show the correct answers, you are perfectly right. So we have the best of 3, which is the system we use when there's only 2 people. We have round robin, which is the system we use with 3, 4, and 5 people. We have combined pools, which is the system we use with 6 people, and everything above we have trees. And I will quickly show you how these systems look. Again, I have now opened already a few of the draws from the Asian Championship. This is a best of three, a round robin 3. So we have here an athlete from Vietnam. And if you hover over the athlete, you also see that she gets marked, and she gets marked here again. So that's why we know it's a round robin, because she will compete once and twice. And she competes here against the athlete from Kazakhstan and the athlete from Thailand. And the athlete from Kazakhstan and from Thailand also compete against each other. So here it is a round robin. Everyone competes once against each other. And then the person that has the most wins is the first place, with the second place, and so on. The second system is the combined pools. So there we have, like we saw, 2 pools of 3. They again compete against each other. So you have the athlete from Thailand competing against the athlete from Kazakhstan and against from Vietnam, and then the Vietnam and the Kazakhstan athlete compete against each other. We have the same here for a second pool. So we have here India against Cambodia, India against Thailand, and Cambodia against Thailand. And then, and this I think is the most difficult system we have, at least we get the most questions. What happens is that the first place of the one, so the Thai athlete, she has won twice, competes against the second place of the second pool. And then for the second pool, the first place competes against the second place of the first pool. Those that lose become automatically third place, and those that win compete in the final for silver and gold. By now, see if I can try to show you this, because this I will go in detail, because there we get the most question about. So what we have now, I now open a pool, and you should see one draw record. This is from the World Games. It's a so exactly. So you see now the system of the World Games from the girls minus 48 kilograms, and now I say, okay, the winner here is Canada. Here the winner is Germany. I just make up something now, and here the winner is Canada again. So here we have Canada won twice, and the girl from Germany won once. Here we say the athlete from Ukraine just wins. Sorry. 9. Ah, that was clear. Damn it. Sorry. Here we say the athlete from Ukraine won. Here we say the athlete from Singapore won. And here we say again the athlete from Ukraine won. So, and if all goes right, we should now be able to see the pool winners. Exactly. So we have the athlete from Canada that won twice, the athlete from Singapore that won once, we have the athlete from Ukraine that won twice, and the athlete from Germany that won once. And they are now competing against each other. And if we now say, okay, fault action. Here, the athlete from Canada wins. Here, the athlete from Ukraine wins. And now we say the girl from Ukraine wins here in the final. And then we have the first place, the second place, and the losers here are the third places. And the 2 other girls, they are the 5th places. So this is, I think, the most complicated system that we have, and I hope with this it gets a bit easier. I'm now going back to the trees. This is a bit more intuitive. We see here, this is a draw from a tree, and you see, okay, we have here always the people compete against each other, and the winner goes in the next round. So we have an athlete from Vietnam here. He wins, he goes in the next round, he competes against Kazakhstan, and then Kazakhstan athlete won, he goes in the next round. And if the person that loses end up in the repechage, so here the athlete from Vietnam that lost here ends up here in the repechage and still has a second chance to go for bronze. And we have down here somewhere the athlete from Kazakhstan that also somewhere here lost. So you will then eventually see where you end up in the tree system. this is the different systems that we have. And as said, you don't have to remember all of that, but if you are not sure in which system you are, you can always look on the draws and then you see where you are.
Claudia?
Yes, there's a question.
No one remark.
Yeah.
For the World Games, there are not two third places. There you fight the bronze medal too.
Yeah.
For all the other competitions, it's correct.
That's totally correct. Yeah, thanks for the reminder. So this is the standard sporting code is applied at all events unless we notify that there's something different. And for the World Games is indeed, there is only one bronze medal. And I think, not 100% sure, for the Asian Games, it's the same. And for the combat games, it's also the same. So for the multi-sport events, we very often get only one bronze medal. And then there's one additional fight. So what I now showed is actually for a normal tournament, like a world championship, a continental championship, or a Grand Prix with 6 athletes. If we have a multi-sport event, we usually have only one bronze medal, and then we also inform beforehand. So then there's one extra fight. Thanks for that's a very good point. That is also a question that we very often get. When there is 2 fights of an athlete, the sporting code says something about a minimum break. So you have actually a right to a minimum break, and normally the trees and also the pools and everything is made such that you get this break. However, there can be a situation that you don't get a break, and then your athlete actually has a right to request a break. And the question is, what is the minimum time? And I already see, yes, you know the right answer. One of the right answers. No, it's again not visible. I'm sorry. That is so you are indeed right. For most of the matches, it is 5 minutes. However, 10 minutes would also be right if the next fight is a medal fight. So if you are going for bronze or for the final, then you have actually a right for 10 minutes of break. For all the other matches, it is 5 minutes. For every system, for every discipline. So this is the same for everyone.
Contact is 20 minutes.
True, contact is 20 minutes. Thanks. So I mute. Someone is very loud. Very good. That we did. The one question that we also often get is if we have a round robin, so each compete against each, who wins then if we have the same amount of wins? Because if you have a system where 3 people compete against each other, you might have a situation that each of them won. And then the question is, who is now the winner in the end? Also, this is in the sporting code. Also, this is not new. It's just often not known. Well, as said, the first criteria is always the winner, the athlete with the most matches. If there is a same amount of wins, then actually the point balance is made. So all points that the athletes made are added up, and the points that are made against them are subtracted. Well, in the dual system, there's only a positive balance. There's no negative balance. And then it's counted on how many points are made there. Then if this is the same, you have another criteria that depends a bit on which discipline you are in. So if you are in the Ju-Jitsu or in the fighting or in the contact Jiu-Jitsu, actually the amount of submissions for Ippons would count. So if they have, all of them have the same amount of points and all of them have the same amount of full Ippons or submissions, then there would be the direct comparison of the athletes. So they compete against each other and like who won then. And there's still a possibility that also this is identically, then the fight time until the submission and the full Ippon is achieved. And if that is also not clear, then we do a rematch. And for the duo system, it's because there are no submissions, it's actually more early the direct comparison of the athletes. And then if it's the direct comparison of the athletes, the second team is the highest point on their side for all matches together. Well, this is a bit similar like the one. And if then it's not clear, it's a rematch. So also that if you have the same amount of wins in the round robin system, and this is of course also true if you have the combined pools, then the sporting code tells you exactly what to do. Redraw. We often get the question, oh no, something went wrong. Can we make a redraw? No. We can make small changes, and this is what we call a minor change. For example, your name is spelled wrong, and you want your name correctly on the certificate or on the display. That we can change immediately. Please be aware that we don't put your name in there, but your federation has actually put your name in there. So make sure that for the next time it is updated there. However, this we can correct without any problems. If you are in the wrong category, then you can try to request a redraw. Normally, we don't do this unless it is us that screwed up. So if it's clear that you have been registered in the right category, you have had the right weight and everything is good, and for some weird reasons you end up still in the wrong category, then the organization committee may decide on, would decide on a redraw. So if it's clear that the organization committee screwed up, then there is a good chance that we do a redraw. However, if your coach registered you wrong, your federation registered you wrong, you didn't make the weight or anything, then there will be no redraw. Then you will be crossed out of the list, and we don't make redraws. In some cases, we make a redraw if a pool becomes too unbalanced. So if we now, let me have a look at this. I will now pull over a pool. Let's assume this is also again a category. Let's assume default action. For some reason here, cross. This I can only do in the draw record, right? I can not cross them out here. Can I? No. Let's assume here, for some reason, these two guys would not be there. Like Poland would not be there, Jordan would not be there, and here UAE would also not be there. Then I would have only 1, 2, 3 people in this side, and in the other side you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people, and then the pool becomes so imbalanced that we would do a redraw. So this might be a reason, but as said, this is an exception. So don't count on it that if you are not there or if you don't have your weight, that we will just automatically make a redraw. Exactly. 2 questions about the redraw. Oh dear. Are people lost? Exactly. That's good. People are listening. And this is indeed also the correct answer. Only, as said, in unforeseen cases, when the organization committee decides, we will do a redraw. My coach registered me wrong. No problem. JJIF will do a redraw, or there will be no redraw. Yes, you got the point. Indeed, there is no redraw. Sorry if your coach registered you wrong. We cannot do anything there. And similar question, my athlete missed their weight, of course, not their weight. Indeed, also again, there will be no redraw. One thing that is new that I just want to mention here. Until last year, we had no possibility if an athlete was alone to do something, because if we would have merged the athlete in the next higher category, they would have lost their ranking points, and this we of course don't want. So if there are now less than 3 participants in a category present, the organization committee can, they don't have to, but they can decide on merging this athlete with the next higher age or weight category. For the age category, of course, only if the rules are the same. So if you have an under 21 athlete, minus 62, he would be alone. The adults minus 62 have athletes, then he can be merged by the organization committee to the adults. He will get his points, the ranking points in his original category. However, if he's merged with the next higher weight category, he also has to have his weight. So if he's 56, he competes with the adults, with the 62, then he needs to pass the weight in the 56 to get the points in the 56. He can decide to just go in the 62, but then he gets also the points in the 62. So to keep the points in your weight category, you need to make the weight. And in the case of the team competition, so the duo and the show system, there might be a mix with the different genders. For the fighting and the Jiu-Jitsu system, of course, we don't mix the girls with the guys, but in the duo system or in the show system, it might be possible to say, okay, the girls are then going together with the mixed category in order to have at least 3 participants. If there is no next higher weight category, or if there's no other people that it can be mixed with, it is allowed to let these 2 people compete against each other in then the best of 3 method. So if it's not possible to merge these athletes such that there is 3 people, then they just can compete the best of 3. Also, if we may merge 2 individual athletes, there might be not more, so then they are also allowed to compete. And if one is really, really alone, then they will get a medal, but there's no medal ceremony. And the ranking points I will add in the end. How this then works. So what happens with less than 3 athletes? Yeah, exactly. Both are correct. Somehow this voting does not work, I'm sorry, but indeed both are correct. So if there's less than 3 athletes on an international tournament, the organization committee can merge it, and it's the organization committee that decides which is the better option. So in some cases, both could be possible with under 21, or with the, like an under 21 athlete could go with the under 21 and a higher weight, or with the adults, and then the organization committee will look and think what makes here the most sense. And as said, if it's not possible, the 2 athletes also can compete against each other. I'll skip this, leaderboard we skip. Next point is seeding. Before we go at this slide, I want to show you something. The seeding is also actually some, we get a lot of questions on. we now look at the seeding for the Paris Open for those people that are already registered. So what we do at international events, and also this is not new, we seed the top 20 that is present at an event. So if you are not here yet, but you want to compete the Paris Open, then you might show up later. So if we now look at, for example, the adults fighting men minus 56 kilograms, there are 2 athletes registered. There's an athlete registered from Colombia who's currently in the ranking position number 2. He would be seeded number 1. And there's an athlete registered from Kazakhstan who is position number 2. There's no other athletes registered yet in this event, or at least in the top 20. So that's why no one else is currently seeded. If we look at the 69, we see that at the moment, the highest person present would be ranking number 8. He would be seated on position number 1. Then we have ranking number 12. This is position number 2, 13, 4, position number 5. 15 is the number 4. So always the top 4 people present. And then present, I said, that are registered in the event. And we do this at a deadline which is given in the invitation. Usually like a week before the event, we say this is the cutoff. And at this date, we place the people in the seeding. So if you then at the event change your weight category, that's totally fine, but you will not be seated in the other weight category. So you can always on this address look it up, the seeding, and then you can select the upcoming events. And as said, at the date that is given in the invitation, we make the seeding, and then we seed depending on the event, the top 10 or the top 20. Who is seeded at the World Championships? yes and no. Well, it is the top 4 that are present in the top 10. So we see the top best athletes, the 4 athletes which are in the top 10 present. So it's a bit, yeah, I said a bit miswritten there. Exactly, I am already telling answers. So the athletes from the top 10, but only the 4 best. So if you are the 5th in the ranking, but the other 3 are the other 4 are there, then you are not seated. If one of them is not there, then you will be in there. And the seeding is also published on Sport Data, so you can always look this up. So I said you can look it up here in the app, but we will also then download it and then publish these PDFs on the Sport Data site. Then you can see who is there, and as said, you see position number 1, position in the ranking, this points, and if there are people with the same amount of points, then we need to make a pre-seeding. So if there are 2 people at the same position, then we make a pre-draw. Also, there is nothing new. Okay, well, I don't know if it works now, but you should be able to select on this picture where is the athlete number 1 seated. I'm not sure if it works. Yes, it works. Might be a bit small, but yeah, the correct area is indeed the athlete number 1 is seated here, and well, it is also visible in the sporting code. So if you're not sure, you see the athlete number 1 is seated here, number 2 is here, number 3 is here, number 4 is here, and depending on which pool we have, they are always then split. And the last topic from today, we started 10 minutes late, so I have 10 more minutes, is the ranking. And JJIF provides 2 types of ranking. We have a qualification ranking, which is used for qualification of events. And we have a world ranking, which is used for the seeding. So the seeding that I just explained before is done based on the world ranking. And the qualification to multi-sport events, for example, World Games, World Combat Games, is done via the qualification ranking. The difference is that for the, is there a question? I don't hear the question. So the difference is that for the qualification ranking, only 1 event per category is counted. So we have 4 different or 5 different groups in a sense. We have World Championships, Continental Championships, Grand Prix, and Regional Championships. And we have also national championships, which are not counted in the qualification ranking. And also the multi-sport events give also ranking points, but they are also not counted in the qualification ranking. And there, for the qualification, only 1 event, and for the world ranking, everything. We have the deduction with time. So if an event happens in the past, this is usually, events expire at some point. In the first 12 months after the tournament, the points will count 100%. And after the next 12 months, they will go to 75%. And then after 24 months, so after 2 years, the events are not taken into account anymore for both rankings. So for the qualification ranking, but also for the world ranking. Then the points are not up to date anymore. Otherwise, we have people that for 10 years ago and are still in the ranking and still in the qualification. So the points expire over time. Also, this is not new. And I think I have a question to that. No, we have 2 more things that are new. We have now a reduction in case of not enough participants. So this is also new in 2023. And there are 2 types. So if you have an event with not enough different federations participating, or if you have an event with not enough athletes participating. And it's either or. So if you have not enough federations, then the athletes is not taken into account. So if you will see it, so you don't get double reduced. You only get 1 reduction, but not a double reduction. So the reduction for less participating federations is if you have only 3 participating athletes in the entire event, the points will be 75% of the points that you usually get. So imagine you are going to host a Grand Prix. You can also, I did not put this explicitly in this presentation, but you can look up the points in the sporting code. No, I'm too low. There is a table, and then you can see, okay, this is the points. So imagine you are hosting a Grand Prix and you have only 3 countries participating overall in the event. So not in this category, but really you did your best, but only 3 different countries come. Then the first place doesn't get 100 points, but the first place only gets 75 points, and the second 75%, and so on and so on. If you have only 2 participating federations, it's 50%. And if you have really only 1 participating event, then the event will always be counted as a national championship. So you will get points, but not the full points. To avoid that, well, we have events, international events, where very little people participate, and to give those where there's a lot of participants, like the actual amount of points. But as said, this is really for all categories together. So if you have really in all events together less than 4 federations participating, then 75%. If you have 4 or more, then you have the 100%. However, you might have a category where only a very few people are in. And this is then if you have only 2 participants in the category, you get 75%. So let's imagine you have a continental championship, and there's the first place, and the first place then gets only 150 points and not the 200 points if there's only 2 people. And the second place then gets not 75% of 160. This I don't know by head, but yeah, you can see how this goes. If someone is alone, then they get only 50%. So they get half of the points that they would have gotten. But as said, we talked in the very beginning, and this is also like my last slides. If you are alone, you are now, it is allowed to merge you into, for example, the next higher weight or age category. And you will get the points that you receive in this age category in your original category. So let's assume an athlete competes minus 56 kilos, is merged into the 62 kilo athletes and makes there a second place on a Grand Prix. He then gets 80 points. And he gets this 80 points in his minus 56 category. So this would be better as if he would be completely alone, because if he would be completely alone, he would only get 50 points. However, there's also one rule. If an athlete would get less points by not competing in his original category, the higher points will be given. So it's always good for the athletes if he is fighting. And even if he then, let's assume, he goes in the minus 62 kilograms, the category is full and he only makes the 7th place. So he would get only 20 points. Then he gets actually the 50 points for not competing. So it's always, with competing, you have a chance for more points, but if you don't make it, then you still get this 50% of the original category. So this is new compared to in the last years. And I think this is also my last slide. Well, how many types of ranking does JJIF have? Exactly. 2, we have the qualification ranking and we have the world ranking. Very good. And well, I have one more open question before I want to also open the floor for questions. We have, well, I said now 8 participants that are here. If you come up with a topic that you would be interested in in the webinar, feel free to enter it now in the chat. And then we can, as I said, discuss the topics that maybe we can come up with and that get the participants. And with this, I would like to thank the people that participated live in the webinar and those that also later watch it. And we will stop the recording and then open the floor for questions.